for evidence-based clinical practice guidelines. It's an initiative of the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and its mission is to provide health professionals with an accessible mechanism for obtaining objective, detailed information on clinical practice guidelines and to further their dissemination, implementation, and use. So I'll show you what that looks like. Have you guys ever used guidelines.gov? No? Okay, good. I can show it to you. This is what it looks like. So this is a search box, and you can also change the filters and parameters on your search, similar to how you can in PubMed. But let's search for heart failure. It takes a minute. It's thinking. These are the results, 1 to 20 of 471. So probably could put some filters on that to refine your search. But we'll go to heart failure in adults. And I like it because it indexes it for you, so you don't have to read through the entire thing. But if you're looking just for the recommendations, you can click on recommendations. And there you go. You can read through some of the major recommendations in taking care of a heart failure patient. So it's another good resource that you can use during your literature search. So what if the evidence, you do your literature search and the evidence is just not sufficient? Well, then you're going to need to derive your information on other types of evidence. They may be at the bottom of the chain, but maybe all you have. Case reports, expert opinions, scientific principles, theory, or you may decide to go ahead and conduct your own research, which is a whole nother course, but you may decide to do so. And the implementation, this is based on the Iowa model. You're going to pilot the change in practice, select the outcomes that to be achieved, collect baseline data, design evidence-based practice guidelines, implement the evidence-based practice on pilot units, evaluate the process and outcomes, and modify the practice guideline accordingly. And there's something I can think of that's going on in the hospital right now, which is bedside reporting. And they've piloted that, correct, Dr. Book, on certain units. And they're in the process of evaluating right now to see what the outcomes are. But from what I've heard, nurses are getting out of report earlier, and patient satisfaction is going up. Our HCAP scores are improving with bedside reporting. So because of those favorable outcomes, I believe they're going to be implementing that hospital-wide in January.
Additional units will January.
Yeah, so keep a lookout for that. So in summary, what have we accomplished today? We've discussed the definition and the importance of evidence-based practice. We've discussed the Iowa model, steps of evidence-based practice, and a hierarchy of evidence. You have demonstrated the ability to form a PICO question and to identify the components. You've identified the resources to locate research to support evidence-based practice and the steps to implementing an evidence-based practice based on the Iowa model. How much time do we have? I know it's a small group, but I wanted to include a little activity. I think you guys should turn towards each other. I know it's only 4 of you. But if you can come up with a PICO question, something that's related to our practice, identify the components, the population, intervention, comparison, outcome, and you may or may not need a time frame. And just tell me what domain it's from. So just turn towards each other, take 5 minutes, talk about it. It doesn't have to be anything formal, but think about what we do. And
Sorry, I have an injury.
okay.
We'll do evaluation after.
Okay. So the 3 of you turn towards each other. Oh, it didn't see you. Okay. So I was trying to think of one more person. I feel like she's gonna do this. So the one thing that I was thinking about was how we're using like the quick thoughts now instead of the
population, so, incidence of
Growing complications. or
yeah,
do you
growing
know?
complications, or you could get specific, it's like bleeding.
Bleeding, yeah.
Using Cybec patch versus
Compare
clot.
those two.
Post, like 2 hours post, whatever, I guess you could add that kind of thing.
If they're both held at the same time.
Right. So
What's
holding
the,
them for 20 minutes.
right, what's the time frame is that? Is it-
So in those cardiac patients, how does quick clot compare to Cybec XL and affect bleeding 2 hours post sheath? 2 hours, yes. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So whether or
Yeah,
not
that's
they bleed.
perfect.
All right, we got it.
Got it? Okay, what's your population?
It is post-cardiac cath patients.
Okay, and what intervention are we looking at?
We're looking at Cybec patches versus quick clot.
So the use of Cybec patch versus the use of quick clot.
Correct. And we're looking specifically at bleeding, how it affects, so bleeding.
Okay, so that's your comparison?
Right.
Well, your intervention is, okay, so you're saying the intervention is what patch you're using? And that's an
The
intervention
hemostasis
because it's
patch.
providing hemostasis?
Correct.
Okay, and you're comparing bleeding times?
Right, like whether or not.
The risk of bleeding?
Comparing the cyber patch and the
Yeah, I was thinking it's kind of an intervention and a
Growing, yeah, bleeding complications.
post sheath hematoma formation maybe?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, and then your time frame, are we looking at a time frame after the sheath pull is?
We were saying maybe like just 2 hours,
Before 2
because
hours.
some of them, go home after 2 hours, so,
Okay.
basically within that time frame of.
during the hospital
that
stay.
rest.
How would the question read if you were to verbalize the question?
Okay, we're
Come on, Stephanie, we
In-
got it going.
in post-cardiac cath patients, how does, maybe how does quick clot or compare to Cybec XL, Cybec
I did this one in my class.
Oh, you just practice.
Yes, in post-cardiac cath patients, how does quick clot compare to Cybec affect hemostasis, hematoma
Bleeding time or
Within 2 hours.
within 2 hours? Post-sheath pull.
Very good. All right.
It's a mouthful.
And so what domain is that one from? Is that question from?
Intervention, correct.
Very good. Do you have any questions for me?
So we can get any research article from the Champion Hospital, that they are doing the research, right?
They can
We have
help.
enough.
You mean in terms of, they can help you with a literature search, or you can do a literature search.
So we have any website here, the Champion Hospital research, we are doing the research
We
here.
used to have a subscription to a database called Cinol. We don't have that now. We can use PubMed. Unfortunately, we're in between right now. We don't have a subscription to it, but you can do the search and the results you come up with, you can take a look at the abstract of those results. If you think it's gonna be really relevant to your question, take it to the librarian, and we have a collaboration with USF. They can usually get any article you find.
They're really good, they're really helpful.
And they really wanna,
Stuff for you.
they really wanna step in and do the search for you, and they're great, they're very experienced. I think it's a good experience for us to start off, and try to do it ourselves, just to work with it, and see what you can find, and you can bring it to them and they'll.
Yeah, I tried with the website here, but some, this is, I think is a for retail, I cannot go retail. So certain
Maybe
part
for
is.
the library itself.
So you can pretty much
Use
get
them
it in
in
a
the-
crunch, yeah. They're
It's like,
very
this is my
helpful.
topic.
Right. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, I have evaluation forms, please fill them out. I should pass them out. They're anonymous and I Yeah, you don't.